Hello friends, and welcome to Escaping the Mouse with your host, me, Breck Roll. Alright, if you've watched me for any length of time, you know that a couple times a year my company shuts down for about 2 weeks to do badly needed preventive maintenance on our machines. You might make an argument, they could make an argument to do it more frequently, but it is what it is. One of those usually happens in March and the other in early September, or late September, early October. Well, we are into one of those maintenance intervals as of yesterday. And I decided this time I wanted to go someplace and see some fun things. So right now I just arrived at my hotel. I'm in San Antonio, Texas. That's about 175 miles from Waco. We're gonna do a bunch of fun things here. Like I said, I got a hotel. I got 4 days to check this place out, and there's a bunch of things that we're gonna do. Now, one of the things I want to do, I've wanted to do for a long time, we're gonna go visit the Alamo. And in fact, the hotel I'm in is actually just walking distance from the Alamo. So while it's like 6 o'clock at night, I want to take a walk down to the Alamo, and I just want to see it for the first time. We'll actually go back tomorrow and do the full tour. Alright, in case you ever wondered what the back of the Alamo looks like, this is the employee entrance. But we're going this way. Wow, and there it is. Yeah, I can't cross the chains yet because they're closed for the night, but they're open tomorrow at 9:30, so you know we're going to come check this out. See you then. So yeah, this is a view out of my window. I'm on the 11th floor of this hotel, and I can actually see the Alamo from my window. That's it right there. We're gonna go check that out tomorrow. Oh man, something's up here.
Huh? I don't know. I'm just gonna walk around today.
Yeah, it's kind of funny. There's all sorts of kind of freaks that wander around out here. I noticed this last night when I was walking around too. There were a bunch of it reminded me a lot of LA and Hollywood area. People trying to get attention for themselves and stuff like that. Alright, this must be the place. Let's go in. Yeah, here we are. This is the entrance that everybody thinks of when they think of the Alamo. I'm going to back up a little bit here so I can kind of take it all in. Yeah, so here we are. This is the image everybody thinks of when they think of the Alamo. I don't know if we can go in there. Looks like there's some people going in there right now, but it must be like tours or something to get in there. Definitely have to check that out if I can, but I'm just going to walk around the grounds a little bit right now. Apparently it all starts over there. So as I was walking around, I saw some people go in there, and somebody asked me if I had a ticket, and I said, no, where do I get the tickets? They said, go over here. So we're gonna go over here. Oh, and by the way, this is something we're looking forward to. This is one of the things that kind of made me want to come visit this place right now. I've wanted to see the Alamo since I got here, but yeah, apparently the bike is here. So we're gonna check that out too. I wonder if it's in the basement. Alright, so I kind of like the way this thing is set up. You have options to get like self-guided tours where you have access to everything, or you can actually have a guided tour. I chose to do the self-guided one because basically I want to spend the amount of time that I want to spend at a certain location and not be dragged along by other people, not have to deal with the other people that are, have questions or noisy kids or whatever. I kind of want to have my own way of doing things. Now, the thing I got also includes this little transponder thing, so I can go to different locations and hear a little audio recording about the section. So let's go. This includes a ticket to all of the buildings, including the church right there. So let's go into the church first. So this is the inside of the Alamo Church. It's funny, another one of the things that kind of got my attention about this is recently I saw a story where they were doing some refurbishing at the San Antonio Zoo, and they actually found a limestone quarry that all the limestone from this building was constructed out of. So I don't know, that was kind of interesting too. Like I said, there's been a lot of things that have been kind of encouraging me to come and try and see this and see what I could find. Okay, since the little audio thing I have isn't really loud enough to be picked up on camera, I'm just going to listen to this stuff and tell you what I heard. Basically, one of the things they said is these arches on the ceiling here, none of this stuff was here actually initially when this was a church. It was open air at that point. And then they had these little side rooms here, which they said did have ceilings on them. They were used for religious functions like confessions and stuff like that. Now they wanted to point out specifically that, it looks that the headroom is a little low here. And they're saying the reason for that is not because people were shorter back then, but because at one point the floor was 2 feet down. But there was a problem. The San Antonio River kept flooding this area, so they ended up raising the floor in here to keep everything dry. Okay, this is kind of interesting too. It's a little hard to see, so you have to kind of take my word for it. But apparently, the original surface of the wall looked more like this before they started restoring it. When they began restoring it, they found out that there had been generation and generation of whitewash put over the bare limestone. And at one point, a little piece of that whitewash chipped off, and they saw some color under it, and realized that at one point they had this thing really elaborately decorated and painted like that, and then eventually they just kind of covered it up. And so they've been kind of going through a restoration process using all sorts of high-tech goodies to try and recover and retrieve some of these paintings that are here. Like I said, it's hard to see anything, even in the naked eye, but I don't know, they seem to be really excited about it. Yeah, see, there's a picture right there what this church looked like without the ceiling. That's basically looking in this direction right here. Okay, this is kind of interesting. Apparently this church was actually the last stand inside the Alamo when the defenders basically lost it all in here. They had basically a couple of cannons up there and a long ramp going all the way to the other end of the church that they could walk up to get up there with the cannons. And like I said, this is allegedly where the final battle happened, right up here. At the front of the church here, they have what they call Heroes of the Alamo display, and this is the name of all the people who died defending the Alamo. And I guess there's a whole bunch of people that were here that died here that they don't even know who they were. In fact, I'm going to show you something in a minute that I saw when I was looking around here. And then of course you get over here, then you get to the real names, William Travis, Davy Crockett, James Bonham. And it's kind of a nod to the comment I made a little while ago about the people who died who weren't even recorded in history. This is an example here. In 1937, they found the bones of 4 people that were buried here, and they basically reinterred them a few months later. So this room here is called the sacristy. Basically, it was where they kept all the most valuable religious objects, and was also the location where the women and children hid while the battle was going on outside. So this is the other side of the back wall of the church there. Basically at the level where the window is there, right at the bottom of the window, there was nothing above that. And so this was kind of one of the walls, one of the corners of the Alamo. And like I said, this is where the last stand was made. And actually there were like 3 cannons up there basically defending this corner of the fort. And like I said, this was the final stand took place inside this building.
Got any questions about my cannons? If you lived in a big city, yeah, very good. If you lived in a small town.
Yep, we're getting close, I think. So they call this the Welcome Wall in the visitor center here. All sorts of artifacts that have been found on the property, kind of dating through the entire history of the site, from some of the Native Americans, like arrowheads and spearheads, bows and arrows, and spears themselves, like ranching materials, religious stuff. And they got some different firearms that have been retrieved from the era. And Actually, the curator on the recording was saying that this is probably what he thinks his favorite piece right here. Because apparently this belonged to somebody, and basically they took a piece of a branch and had to replace it and repair it because I guess the gun broke and they were out in the middle of nowhere and they need the thing to survive. So he found a piece of mesquite wood and repaired his gun. Look at this stuff though, how neat is that? Alright, this is kind of interesting. This is the collection of Alamo artifacts from a single collector. In this case, the guy's name is Phil Collins. Yes, that's right, that Phil Collins. I guess he visited the Alamo in 1973 and was so enthralled with it that he began using all of his profits from being in Genesis and his solo career to begin buying up artifacts. And this is just a very small part of it. This whole room is filled with stuff that came from him. I guess at one point he made the decision to donate it to the museum here. This actually, I guess, was somebody else donated that. But look at this stuff here. Okay, so I guess not all of this is Phil Collins. Looks like they got different things from different donors and kind of all lumped together here. See, here's more stuff donated by Phil. Look at that letter right there, part of a letter or a note or something like that. His sword belt was captured at the Battle of Cerro Gordo in 1847, was found among the personal baggage of Santa Anna. Check out that powder horn, how awesome is that? Check out this chess set based on the Alamo. Basically each of the sides are one of the sides of the army. So you got the Texas on the far side, you have Mexico on this side. In the role of the Queen is Travis on that side and Santa Anna on this side. And you have like Bo and Davy Crockett as knights. How awesome is that? I'm gonna get a look at that from the other side too. Check out that Bowie knife. That blade's got to be a good 12 inches long. This little hole here has a bunch of different flags from different eras when Texas was its own country. I guess this one dates back to 1832. It was the first flag kind of after Texas independence from Mexico. And then of course it moved on to the more traditional one that we have today. Got a statue here of Travis. Wow, coming up the stairs on the second level. Alright, this case describes kind of the evolution of what they call a Bowie knife. I guess we call them Bowie knives today. But it originally started off something like this and then kind of evolved into all these other kinds of weapons here. Basically, the definition of a Bowie knife is one that's where the blade is a couple inches wide, at least 12 inches long, and the blade itself goes into the handle, so you're holding on to the blade itself, not just something that's attached to the blade. And some weapons of the era: rifles, muskets, pistols. It's very similar to the one that we had on the wall there. Look at that one. That one's gorgeous. Look at all the metal work on the handle. And just all over the weapon. I'm guessing that was an Army issue. So this section over here seems to be about more contemporary tellings and parts of the Alamo and a lot of stuff here from the sesquicentennial, the 150th anniversary of the founding of Texas. But there was this one thing here. This is a painting by a guy named Reynold Brown, and it's called The Battle of Alamo, and it's based on John Wayne's movie, and apparently was donated to the museum by John Wayne. Just some more examples of guns. I was noticing this one right here, specifically that bayonet. Look at the triangular shaped blade on that. I've actually heard about these things. These things have been outlawed now because they're considered too cool, because it cuts you in three directions. So basically, you get impaled by one of those, you have no choice. You're going to bleed out. Yep, that would ruin your day. Can't really see it very well, but that's an actual letter from Davy Crockett, or as he signs it himself, David Crockett. And of course, here it is. This is one of the things we were definitely looking to see here today. This is actually one of the actual stunt bicycles used in the movie. It says here, how did you learn about the Alamo? For many kids of the 1980s, it was Pee Wee Herman's to find his stolen bike in the Alamo basement in the film Pee Wee's Big Adventure. Of course, there is no basement in the Alamo. Most remember the Alamo for the battle in 1836. Many also pictured Fess Parker, John Wayne, and this iconic bike. For everyone, there's more to discover. As Pee Wee said, they don't tell you that stuff at school. It's something you just have to experience. The bike was uniquely built for the film's stunt work. Although parts of it have been restored, you can still spot signs of wear from the filming. There we go. Bucket list item complete. Beautiful property around here. Almost could qualify as an arboretum. Alright, this was the old hospital here. This is, I guess this was one of the first hospitals in what they called Spanish Texas at that time. Yeah, looks a little dirty in here, right? So yeah, this is what they call the Long Barracks. This is actually one of the oldest structures on the property. They've actually done archaeological digs here, and they have information going back to the early 1700s here. You know, they just built layer upon layer upon layer on this. Remember how I told you earlier in the video in the church that they'd built a ramp from the front of the church up to the back? It didn't have the roof at the time, and they had the cannons up here. Yeah, you can kind of see the ramp in here, the new roof, and the whole area. Looks a little different now, doesn't it? Alright, I am checking out the gift shop, but holy cow, is the merchandise expensive. $53 for a t-shirt. And if there isn't a more iconic image of the Alamo than this, I don't know what it is. And I'm not entirely sure what they're doing here, but they got some major construction going on here. Or restoration, I would guess. They call that the Crockett Block. Look at all the architecture up there on that though, holy cow. Alright, so I think I've pretty much seen everything I'm going to see here. So I think we're going to wrap this video up today. I did get a hat, and I've been trying to get magnets to remember the places I've been. So I got a couple of Alamo magnets for my refrigerator. But I'm not really one for doing souvenirs unless there's something really amazing. But anyway, this was fun. I was glad I got a chance to see this because, I mean, you know, I've heard about the Alamo all my life and definitely wanted to go check it out when I got here. It's been something, like I said, that I wanted to do ever since I moved here. And so this was a lot of fun to see all this. I learned a lot about, you know, the history of this place. This place is a lot older than I thought. You know, basically you just think about it from the Texas State Independence War and the Mexican War. But in reality, it goes back way before then. It was a missionary, or it was a mission, and all sorts of great stuff like that. So it's kind of fun learning about that, and it's kind of cool living in a place like Texas where there is so much great history. You know, California just, you know, everything started 100 years ago, and most stuff even more recently than that. So you don't get to find places like this in California so much. So this was fun to see. I hope you enjoyed it, and I am in San Antonio for another couple days, so stay tuned. We got some other fun things to look at. Thanks for watching. See you next time. Good night.